Welcome back, guys. Today we have a little bit of a longer letter. We've had quite some short ones for a while, but this one's still not very, very long, which I suppose is a good thing. It makes things a little easier. And this is letter 39 on noble aspirations, and we're just going to jump right into this here. So he says here, I shall indeed arrange for you, in careful order and narrow compass, the notes which you request. But consider whether you may not get more help from the customary method than from that which is now commonly called a breviary. Though in the good old days, when real Latin was spoken, it was called a summary. The former is more necessary to one who is learning a subject, the latter to one who knows. For the one teaches, the other stirs the memory, but I shall give you abundant opportunity for both. A man like you should not ask me for this authority or that. He who furnishes a voucher for his statements argues himself unknown. Okay, so let's look at some of the footnotes here. Okay, so the customary method. So he says the regular method of studying philosophy was, as far as we infer from this letter, a course of reading in the philosophers. Seneca deprecates this use of the cram, which is only a memory help, as a substitute for reading on the grounds that by its use, one does not, in the first place, learn the subject, and in the second place, and chiefly, that one loses the inspiration to be derived by direct contact with great thinkers. The request of Lucilius for a cram thus suggests the main topic of the letter, which is taken up in the second paragraph. Okay, so just so we got some context there. And then what is a summary? The word breviarium or abridgment, abstract, has been displaced by a better word, summarium, an outline of chief points. Okay, and then what else did we have here? In number 3, he said, to do the reading and to review it by means of the summary. The reading will enable Lucilius to identify himself the authors of the several passages or doctrines. Okay, so let's break this down and see what he's saying here. Okay, basically what he's saying is look, okay, Lucilius has asked for this summary, okay, of the notes. Like, what are the important points here? And he's saying, look, I'll do it. Okay, I'll do this for you, the notes that you're requesting. But I want you to consider this, okay? Whether or not you will get more help from doing the customary method, which is to actually just study, read the whole thing, talk with the people, right? Okay. Then this form that is called a summary or a breviary. Okay. And he's saying that in the old days it was called a summary, but he's saying that the former, it's necessary to someone who's learning. So if you're learning, it's so much better for you to just read the text. Don't get the notes of this, okay? If you already know it, then yeah, a summary is good, right? This is good because the longer form it teaches, the other one it stirs the memory. So it's good to have some notes to refer to, or to have a summary to refresh your memory on these things, okay? But he's saying I'm going to give you opportunity for both, okay? And so this is what Seneca's laying out here. He's saying, okay, here it is. I'll give you this, but remember, you still need to go to that. It's like trying to get a book summary. Book summaries are good. However, you should learn these things yourself first. Read the book and then go over the summary. And 2, he says, I shall therefore write exactly what you wish, but I shall do it in my own way. Until then, you have many authors whose works will presumably keep your ideas sufficiently in order. Pick up the list of philosophers. That very act will compel you to wake up. When you see how many men have been working for your benefit, you will despise eagerly to be one of them yourself. For this is the most excellent quality that the noble soul has within itself, that it can be roused to honorable things. Okay? So he's saying, look, I'm going to do what you're saying, but I'm going to do it in my way. All right? It's not going to be exactly the kind of summaries that you want. Okay? He's saying, look, pick up this list of philosophers. Okay? If you do this, that very thing, it's going to compel you to wake up to see this, okay? When you see how many men have been working for your benefit, how much there is that people have been creating that will help you. And you will want to be one of them yourself, okay? And he's saying that this is the most excellent quality that the noble soul has within itself, that it can be roused to honorable things, that you would actually want to contribute to this. He says here, no man of exalted gifts is pleased with that which is low and mean. The vision of great achievement summons him and uplifts him. Okay? So if you have these gifts, if you understand these things, you're not going to be happy with low things. You have this vision of great achievements, okay, that you want to advance philosophy and teach other people and help. In verse 3, just as the flame springs straight into the air and cannot be cabined or kept down any more than it can repose in quiet, so our soul is always in motion, and the more ardent it is, the greater the motion and activity. But happy is the man who has given it this impulse towards better things. He will place himself beyond the jurisdiction of chance. He will wisely control prosperity. He will lessen adversity, and he will despise what others hold in admiration. So he's saying, look, the thing is this. Just like a flame that can't be kept down, your soul is always in motion, right? And the more ardent it is, the greater its motion and activity. The more, this is a good thing. But if you take this impulse and instead of putting it towards base things, if you put it towards the better things, all right, then you're going to go beyond chance, right? You actually control prosperity, right? You will lessen the adversity that you'll face. You won't want what other people want. You'll despise those things. Like you'll realize what is truly valuable. It is the quality of a great soul to scorn great things and to prefer that which is ordinary rather than that which is too great. For the one condition is useful and life-giving, but the other does harm just because it is excessive. Similarly, too rich a soil makes the grain fall flat. Branches break down under too heavy a load. Excessive productiveness does not bring fruit to ripeness. This is the case with the soul also, for it is ruined by uncontrolled prosperity, which is used not only to the detriment of others, but also to the detriment of itself. So he's saying, look, if you have too much, all right, if you want too much and you get too much, it's going to destroy you. It's not good for you, right? Just like too rich of a soil, it can't actually, the grains will fall over. They can't hold root in that. Branches break under heavy load, right? This tree has a lot of branches. It seems like a good thing. No. Excessive productivity does not bring fruit to ripeness, right? So getting a lot of stuff, it's better to have ripened fruit. And so he's saying that's the same thing with the soul, right? This uncontrolled prosperity, which you'll use for bad, okay, it will also harm you. Now, why does he say that, right? I mean, think about this. Why does he say that? Why do you think that is the case? Right? Why is having too much a bad thing? Because you want more. Because it's not enough. Because you haven't actually, it prevents you from working on your character, right? Because you can just get more. You can just get more. You can just get more things. You can just have more things, and that maybe will make you happy, but it's not going to make you happy, right? And so that's why it causes you to actually be miserable. In verse 5, he says, "What enemy was ever so insolent to any opponent as are their pleasures to certain men? The only excuse that we can allow for the incontinence and mad lust of these men is the fact that they suffer the evils which they have inflicted upon others, and they are rightly harassed by this madness. Because desire must have unbounded space for its excursions, if it transgresses nature's mean. For this has its bounds, but waywardness and the act that springs from willful lust are without boundaries." So he's saying, look, just like we just said, okay? This desire that you have, it's going to destroy you because you'll just want more, right? And so, yeah, you're going to be rightly harassed by this because this desire that you have also probably inflicted harm upon others, and now it's going to be inflicted upon you. And the reason why is because there is no limits to it. Nature has its bounds, but this willful lust, there is no boundaries to it. There's nothing that it won't stop at, that it will stop at. Utility measures our needs, but by what standard can you check this superfluous? It is for this reason that men sink themselves in pleasures, and they can not do without them when once they have become accustomed to them. And for this reason, they are most wretched because they have reached such a pass that what was once superfluous to them has become indispensable. And so they are the slaves of their pleasures. Instead of enjoying them, they even love their own ills. And that is the worst ill of all. Then it is that height of unhappiness that is reached when men are not only attracted but even pleased by shameful things, and when there is no longer any room for a cure, now that those things which once were vices have become habits. Okay, let's look at this note here. He says, their pleasures, these ills being cultivated, become vices. So this is really important. What is he saying here? Okay, utility actually measures our needs, what we actually need to use to live. Okay, but how do you check the superfluous, right? The things that are, obviously the things that you need, you can measure that. You can say, okay, I need this much food, I need this much water, blah blah blah. But how much superfluous things do you need? Okay, you can't measure it. There's no standard. Like, what is enough? What is enough luxury? There's none. So he says that this is why men become just absorbed in pleasures, right? Because and what happens is that there's the same things that were extra to you, right? Were unnecessary. They become necessary. The things that were superfluous become indispensable because you become addicted to them. And now you can't live without these things, right? And so then what ends up happening is you become a slave of this thing that you're supposed to enjoy. And you even love your own vices, the bad things that you're doing. Okay, and that's the worst. And then he says, and when this height of unhappiness is reached, is when you're not even attracted, but pleased by shameful things, by bad things. And there's no room for a cure because those vices that become habits, you're just used to that thing, right? And so you got to look at this in terms of your own life. How many things, like where are you right now, and how much of what you have right now, and I put myself in this category as well, you've become addicted to. You've become accustomed to these things. And it can be simple things, right, that you can't live without now, that are these pleasures, these addictions that you have, that before, maybe you're making more money now, right? And now you got a bigger house, and you got a bigger car, and now you need all this stuff, right? And now it stresses you out because you're like, oh, shit, I got all this stuff, and I got to keep on maintaining all this stuff because I can't live without all this stuff. I've been there, right? To a degree, I'm there now, right? It's hard because then you're like, oh, man, how did I get to this place? How did I get to this place where these things that I just wanted before and I thought, oh, I'd be happy if I have them now, I need them. Or these things that I'm like, oh, that was a crazy amount of money. Like, no one needs that amount of money. Now you have it. Now you need it. Maybe you're not there, but you could think about that with other things in life, right? Maybe you got an addiction. Maybe you're addicted to some kind of drug or alcohol or whatever it is, which is a drug, or cigarettes, or, and at some point it started out and it was like, it was a nice thing. You did this every once in a while, whatever it is. And now you have to have it. Right. So, it's amazing how we can fall into that. And how do we avoid this? By focusing on the things that are important, by remembering, by studying Stoic philosophy so that we go back to the basics, to the necessities, and instead of keep on wanting more and more, by being happy with what we have, right? By learning these things. So this is a good one. I'll see you tomorrow.